Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some very intriguing news going on where it does kind of seem like the PlayStation 5 globally is not, for lack of better terms, kind of basically destroying the Xbox Series X. We have some crazy sales numbers. We have some really cool, intriguing, basically global numbers. And as well, we also saw this really kind of intriguing story basically showing that some PlayStation 5s in some certain countries now are basically for retail being sold for over $1,700. So we have some little fun, cool stuff to go and cover all throughout this video. And as well, I always love to kind of see this big analytical stuff. So I always like to go hear your thoughts and comments down below as well. I'm always one of those people who doesn't necessarily like the idea of these big console fights, but when it comes to sales like this, is always very intriguing to kind of go and dissect and kind of give my own thoughts and comments on it. And of course, also hear what you guys like to go and say too as well. So before we fully dive in the video, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc, digital console, and controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well, link down below. Sign up for Weeble, deposit $100, you guys go get free stock and free money. And same with that Coinbase too as well, link down below. Let's go dive on the video itself. So first and foremost, I'm going to give you guys the quick story on the PlayStation 5s being basically sold out for $1 bajillion, and we'll get into the good old juicy stuff right after. So we actually have a very intriguing story floating around over here from PSU.com, basically stating PlayStation 5s are being sold for USD $1,700 now, apparently and very conveniently at the Buenos Aires airport at the duty-free shop. So now we're basically, if you guys are ever traveling, just casually gonna have a nice little layover over at Buenos Aires, apparently you guys can also go and step off the plane and pick up some consoles. So we actually have this nice little tweet over here from Adam Conover, who basically had a chance to go and showcase this all over here too, as well. Say scroll on down. As you guys can go and see, they are basically going and showcasing up these consoles. And it's kind of crazy because, like I said, you guys can basically just go through a nice casual walk on over. You're basically in your layover, and you guys have a chance to go and see the consoles themselves. $1,700, and kind of a bigger stock too as well than I honestly got expected. This is like a nice little 13 or so consoles mixed on in, and you guys can also see the price where it's a casual $1,700. So basically, if you guys want to go to Argentina and spend $1,700 and go walk away with a console, at least you might have a nice little casual vacation, but good Lord have mercy. Now you guys know how bad it is for all these other South American and other region, because basically it is just so hard still to go and find and get the consoles themselves. So kind of nuts. A lot of folks too as well usually like to go and buy the consoles in America and then send them out to other countries. We'll probably actually talk about it again in the near future, basically where China, Japan, etc. keep on getting those consoles. And this is probably a really good example where if they get lucky enough, they're making some pretty good markups when it comes to that. So it's very intriguing news to go and see. Now it's cool to see pictures like this out in the wild. Now for even more intriguing news, I kind of want to go talk more about the Xbox and PlayStation, and of course, obviously the good old Nintendo Switch when it comes to game sales. So it's always intriguing to kind of note, because as of right now, the PlayStation 5 is winning, at least in comparison to the Xbox Series X, especially in America, the UK, and other regions. But one really intriguing one always comes down to Japan, where obviously, you know, Japan is basically very homegrown when it comes to a lot of big gaming industries and big gaming companies, Sony and Nintendo alike. But it's always kind of cool to go and see what other regions are also doing, because right now it does kind of seem like it usually is always the Nintendo Switch as #1 with overall sales, and then depending on the area, depending on the month, depending on the time, PlayStation 5 might be a #2, whether it comes more so for them actually getting consoles. Sometimes it's just overall profit and revenue because the consoles are more expensive, so even if you sell a bit less, you can technically make more money. Or as well, sometimes we just had some really big restocks where there's 400,000 PlayStation 5s in a month that actually does go and beat out the Nintendo. But it's always intriguing to go and see where the Xbox sometimes goes and lies. So with this, we actually have some very intriguing information from Japan. So this is all basically saying Nintendo sold 5.3 million Switch units over in Japanese retail in 2021. Always cool to see. I love seeing that. This overall kind of shows on how good the gaming company and gaming world is as a whole. That's going to data collected by the Famitsu and then shared with GameIndustry.biz, accounting for all the sales between December 28th, 2020 and December 19th, 2021. The total combined sales of the standard, light, and OLED models, which kind of makes sense too, because as of now, we have the PS5 Digital, PS5 Disc, and Xbox Series X and S. So Nintendo's hybrid console sold 5 times as many units as all the other consoles combined. And then, of course, as well with the sales of PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo's own 3DS amounting to 1.1 million units. So the numbers over here too as well, and this is kind of where like I think maybe like the clickbait for the video itself will come from, kind of the big topic point for this, where the PlayStation 5 was the biggest seller at 942,798 units. So we can probably go and round up and say a million units. We can go and round that up there too as well, especially if you factor in those like nice little extra 2 weeks or so, Christmas time, and there's probably gonna be a lot more extra sales that were technically not included with this December 19th date right there. And the big thing over on this is on how bad basically Microsoft is doing when it comes to the Xbox. So we have this with 10 times the 95,598 Xbox Series X and S units sold over the past year. So at this point, the entire year, of course, it's in Japan, and of course, America's doing well, UK still doing well. I don't usually like to go and like dog on the Xbox for no reason because it has been doing phenomenally well, but it's crazy to go and see these units where it's basically underselling massively. It literally is a comparison from 5 million to 1 million to the 100,000. This is astronomical number wise. And we've of course obviously seen some basically like production issues when it comes to all the consoles anyway, where we are seeing issues with it. Like we are seeing issues when it comes to like, you know, Xbox sometimes not making as much, not producing as much. We've also seen the PlayStation make a lot more too as well. But it's also crazy just to see in how small numbers wise this actually is. So in this point, this even shows that the PS4 is even more sought after and more made and more produced and more moved than the Xbox is in Japan, which is nuts. Like to me, like I think that's crazy. Like I almost would want to dedicate another video on that in the future, but it's nuts to go and see that the PS4 is literally doing better than the Xbox Series X and S. That to me is nuts. So with that, even if you guys want to look at the numbers, basically it had 103,000 sales when it came from that, which is actually higher throughout the entire year than the Xbox Series X and S combined. It is also including the S, and the S has been, you know, easier to make, easier to produce, has been being produced everywhere, and even for America for Black Friday was actually doing better in terms of sales. So it's nuts to go and see then this, that it is just doing so well, that even the PS4 is beating it. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. I think I want to hear your thoughts and comments on that down below because it just, wow, as well. And of course, a little bit of extra tidbit for that is the Nintendo 3DS actually sold 28,000 units too as well. And obviously the Nintendo Switch's performance was actually on par as of last year when it came from December 2019 to December 2020. It was very cool to see. And in case you guys are curious into overall numbers, but basically last year's sales have basically had a lot of Animal Crossing New Horizons, which has just been phenomenal, Monster Hunter Rise, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is the new remakes, and obviously Super Mario 3D World, plus Bowser's Fury 2 as well. So these were all respectively the first, second, and fourth best-selling titles in Japan last year, with Switch games accounting for the entirety of top 10, which is nuts. Like it just basically goes to show that the next-gen consoles are basically irrelevant when it comes to, say, Japan. And it's always kind of surprising, too, because all these companies are, well, Japanese-based, at least for Sony and also Nintendo. So it's kind of crazy to go and see how big the actual handheld market is, how well the Nintendo Switch is doing, and just everything else makes sense. It's kind of crazy. As well, though, I did want to go and say, they did also not have the consoles launch until November 2020. They have also, once again, also improved their sales, too. So while this is kind of weird to see on how low it's been, they did at least go and technically improve their sales in 2021, which is nice too as well. It is still crazy just to see on how low these units are, because as you guys can see, as this kind of wind down the article, PlayStation 5 only shifted 200,000 units by the end of 2020, and then the Xbox only sold 29,000 total. So once again, I'm not really sure exactly what the Xbox Series X is doing, especially for other regions. I still kind of think they're more so focused on making sure America and the UK and maybe a little bit of Canada are basically getting as much flow as they possibly can, because it is hard to produce the Xbox Series X's. But I am just surprised in seeing how bad this is doing in Japan, especially with how big gaming is in Japan as a whole. But of course, the Nintendo Switches are still doing phenomenal, and I'm sure that's pretty much consistent almost everywhere, because the Nintendo Switch is such a hard console to go and top and beat, even with all this outdated hardware. So if you guys want to give me all of your thoughts and comments down below, would love to go and hear it. As well, if you guys want to go subscribe with the notifications on, especially for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc, digital console, and controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well. Link down below if you guys want to follow. Sign up for Weeble, deposit $100. You guys go get free stock and free money. Same with that Coinbase too as well. And I'll see you guys later on throughout today for a bunch of more brand new videos. Thank you guys all so much for watching.